Hey guys, we've got day 1 of geometry. Very exciting day. We are on chapter 1, day 1. We are doing points, lines, and planes today. I'm just going to run through some of these vocabulary words that are going to be really important for us for the entire chapter. Okay, and you're going to get just some stuff copied down. You can start drawing some pictures if you like. I have a little bit of explanation and definitions over here that I'll go through, and I'm going to fill this column in with you as I kind of talk through, but we just have some very basic vocab words for the very first day of our geometry unit. I'm pretty sure that you all probably have an idea of what a point is. Here is what like a picture looks like. If you imagine using Google Maps on your phone and trying to get down to Soldier Field is a dot on the map. It represents a location, and we name it with just one letter. And so if we are going to write or use a symbol or name for a point, there's nothing like special about it. You just say point A. And I could call this letter whatever I want. I could use a B or a C or an X. The letter will change. It's called a variable. But in this case, it's just point A. And now I want you to pay really close attention to these three. These three are pretty commonly confused, but these are going to be very important, and we're going to use them all year long, okay? I'm not sure if you know the difference between a line, a segment, and a ray, but you can see what the pictures look like, that they have slight differences there, okay? So a line, what you need to know is it goes on forever. The important thing about the line is that it has arrows on both ends. It goes forever. A segment is different. It is just a piece of a line. You'll notice that there are no arrows there. They're just points. That means it stops. It starts at A and it stops at B. A ray only continues in one direction. You'll notice that you have just one arrow there and one end point, meaning it only goes in one direction. And the symbols for these are the most important part. Okay, so we're going to take the two letters that we have here. I used AB for all of them, but they could be any two letters. But the symbol for a line is I'm going to use the two letters that it goes through, and I'm going to put a line with arrows over the top. Okay, I'm going to do almost the exact same thing for a segment, but what do you think the difference is going to be? It's not going to have arrows. Okay, you don't have to put the end points on this, but notice the difference. Okay, there is a big difference between a line and a segment. What you need to keep in mind is that the line has the arrows and the segment does not. Otherwise, they look the exact same, but in geometry, this is a big deal. Similarly, we have a ray. For a ray, I'm going to start at A and I'm going to go through B. So exactly the way that the letters are here, the A is the end point and the B is the arrow. That means that the end point for my symbol needs to go over the A and the arrow needs to go over the B. Those have to match. Okay, so be careful about that. I did want to give you one other example for a ray because it can get a tiny bit confusing. Sometimes we have rays that look like this. Like they're not always drawn left to right, and this could be like an X and this could be like a Y. This is still a ray, okay, because it has an endpoint and an arrow. That means it's still a ray. But the way that I name it, you have to be really careful because the endpoint here is the X. Okay, so I'm going to put those letters in order, and I'm going to say X, Y, and the arrow has to go with the Y. So even though it's like pointing up and to the left a little bit, oops, that wasn't my pen. This is the way that you name the ray. Okay, so be careful about that. Let's talk about the word plane. This is different from an airplane that flies in the sky. A plane is actually a flat surface, and we name it with 3 points that are on different lines. We'll talk about that in class a little bit more. But an example, our classroom is made up of a bunch of planes. I'll talk about that in a second. But the way we name a plane is we say plane A, B, C, and you name the 3 points that are on it. See those points right there? Sometimes you'll also see a plane labeled with just a singular letter, like not a point on the plane, but it'll have its own letter. So another way to name this would be plane P. I want you to think about our classroom. Our classroom has carpet, right down there. The carpet would be considered a plane of our classroom. Another thing, our classroom has a ceiling, right? The ceiling would be considered a plane. One of the walls, there's actually 4 walls. All of the walls could be considered different planes. Okay, and if you think about the corners of the classroom, those are going to be points. And if you think about the edges of the classroom, those are going to be our segments. Some of the edges continue through other classrooms, so you could think about those as lines. Colinear and coplanar are two other vocab words, and then we're going to be done. But colinear, so co means same, linear means line. So this means that there are points that are on the same line. That's like literally what the word colinear means. Same line. The word co means same. And we have the same thing down here. Co means same, but this is planar. This one is linear. So same, plane. All right, so let's talk about coplanar or colinear. These 3 lines are 3 points are all on the same line. If I had a different point that was not on that line, like point X out here, I would write to myself points A, B, and C are coplanar or colinear, excuse me. Point X is not. And then same thing for coplanar. You can see that I have 3 points here that are on the same plane, and I have a point that is not. So these 3 would be called coplanar. This one is not coplanar with the other 3, okay? So points A, B, and C are coplanar because they're on the same plane, and point D is not. There, you guys, is your brief introduction to geometry. And then once in class, what we're going to do is we're going to go through some example problems and see how much of these we can remember. Thanks for watching, and let me know what questions you have.